Hello friends and followers, this is special episode 17, 14th of August 2017. Hopefully this will be a short episode, and this is just to get some facts out there and expose some things that are happening in the world today and online where people are being conned and make their decisions based on half-truths. This episode is called The Web of Lies, and I will be covering people like Romanek, Julian of WikiLeaks, Snowden, Dotcom, and maybe a few others. I'll see how it goes. Since elections, you've probably noticed that the web has come under attack. Advertisers pulling out funds and Google being pressured to censor sites and people's videos and remove the money from them. But frankly, it just amazes me how much fake news is on mainstream media, and they keep plugging the same rubbish over and over again. I just don't watch TV news anymore. I don't know about anybody else, but I just don't trust anything that comes off reporters' lips as being factual, and it's just their damn opinions on what's happening, like Russia hacks or Sony hacks or you name it. What makes me angry is how Hoaxer channels like ST10 and Section 51 can make heaps of money, like 30,000 plus a month, and not be penalised. They got ads on them, and their content is forever misleading or disinformation and lies and half-truths, and it just leads people on and causes hatred to be developed against people where they start attacking people online, and it's just not on. And I don't know why Google can't clamp down on these channels, because maybe some of the people that are managing it are fans of these channels. Who knows? Who's an admin at Google there probably are fans of ST10. That's the simple truth. And there's no reason why he should have ads on his channel anymore. People have put out evidence showing that he's lying pretty much every episode or changing the facts. Now, people don't listen to a full episode to get the full evidence anymore. They watch a couple of minutes and think, oh, I don't agree with that, and I'm angry, and click off it. This is where the system goes wrong. People really need to wake up and start listening. And this is just annoying me, and I'm sure annoys thousands of people out there as well, and makes them really angry that small channels are just not getting a go. They're just not being promoted on side ads, and really Google need to think about how they're doing things. Instead of removing money from any channel or ads, they need to have a banner that comes up where it's been reported as fraudulent or news, and here are verified links to the information where you can actually get the truth. Now, ST10 has probably had 100,000 fraudulent reports against it, and it's still going strong. Now, some of you out there probably don't like to listen to this. Just wake up. It's about time you woke up and grew up to be an adult. There's too many Generation M's out there that just believe in all sorts of rubbish, and it's just not right. All they need to do is have a disclaimer on a channel that's been reported, and people can click and see whether they want to keep watching that channel or agree with the findings of the evidence proven stuff. And there's plenty of evidence out there on ST10 now if you just bothered looking and watching the stuff. Sure enough, I used to follow some of these hoax channels thinking that they were checking their facts and being proper researchers, and then I found out the truth. This was not the case. But I don't want to make this about Secure10 or other hoaxes out there. I want to talk about some other cases that have been on the web where fake news has changed the story. So media affects how people decide and vote for wars or arresting someone. Also, I'm sure there's some advertisers that actually want to be on these sites. Maybe other hoaxers, people who write hoax books, they want to sell their books, they want to be on these channels. There's plenty of people out there in the UFO community that just want to promote their books and videos and make money from it. Sure enough, they might need to make a living, but a lot of them are plugging their theories and whatnot, and they may want to be on these channels. They don't care if the people are honest or not. They just want the people to buy their products. So simply disabling ads on hoax channels and fake news channels may not be the solution. There may be people that want to advertise on those channels. It should be selective advertising. At least you'll see who's putting ads on their channels and supporting that channel, and you may not want to buy their products anymore. So why go into all this censorship nonsense and just get rid of channels and delete their channels? And you got all this business also of copyright use and fair use. It's about time they formalised it all and made it sensible. It's all crazy. The whole system's just nutted together by nut jobs and greedy corporations and control freaks and psychopaths all out there. Just want to all have the control and the say on everything. It's about time people woke up. So rant over, let's have a look at some cases and information out there, and let's see if we can make sense of it all and see where the lies are. So how many of you have been on jury service? Well, I have, and it was a long-winded case. It was a rape case, and when you're in these cases you get to see how this law system works and how it's manipulated by the lawyers and judge itself. Some of them are not really fair trial at all. In the case I had, the guy apparently nailed shut the window and locked all the doors and raped his girlfriend. And he was on trial for that. And the police made a right hash job of collecting the evidence. They didn't take fingerprints off the window, and they didn't have a look at the tools and hammer, see whose fingerprints were on them. Whether it was new nails on the window that was nailing it shut, whether it was an old window that had been shut because it was loose. And also they stopped, or the judge stopped having his past convictions known to the jury. So we don't know if he had other accounts of him beating up his girlfriends or doing other rape cases that he got dismissed on. He may have had a criminal record for stealing and smoking drugs or doing drugs, but we don't know in this case. And the guy got off because there wasn't enough evidence to convince everybody that he was guilty. So if it's not beyond doubt, you don't put him in jail. This may not be the case anymore in the world. Apparently there's 5,000 to 10,000 wrongful convictions in USA alone each year. So why can't we have the full facts? Again, we're given half-truths. If it's on the web, or on the law system, or on copyright, it's all half-truths. It's all one-sided. And really, I can see why some people just want to leave Earth and go and live on another planet, because this one's just full of crap. I guess one thing's true that's happened since elections is that all this fake news label has caused a lot of these other channels like Alex Jones and all that to make sure their facts are spot on now. They used to make really hyped up titles and facts, and unproven facts I should say, and they got away with it. But now they've got a good team of people that are actually putting the facts together from stats and surveys and reports. Paul Watson is one that I particularly watch now, and as far as I can tell, he's always spot on, but he's also penalised for speaking out. The world has become too PC, politically correct. You can't upset everybody. You've got to be friends with everybody. You can't speak out against a race or religion, even if it's true that the facts and stats back up, and got to call a spade a spade. Get over it. The fact is, you don't have to watch these people, but they shouldn't be profiting from whether it's lies that they're spouting or hatred they're spouting. Of course, there's going to be some bias, but until the world gets over all this nonsense, there's never going to be any healing. People are not going to get on. And wars are always going to be happening. Wars have happened since the beginning of man being on the surface, fighting over, they want to own the water rights or the land rights or the sea rights or the oil rights, energy rights. This list goes on. When's it all ever going to change? Why is religion allowed to cause hatred? Why can't religion be that we all get on together? I don't know, all these social beliefs and stuff. They say the human brain is big because it has to deal with so much social interaction and all the BS that's involved. Let's look at Dotcom. Now, some of you may not know what he is, but he's a German guy that settled in New Zealand and was running the Mega Upload cloud server, which was raided by the US FBI because Hollywood wanted them to clamp down on them for aiding pirates using their system to share TV shows and movies. Now, was this fair? Well, if you look at the facts of the case, we don't really know. They did some illegal spying on him and recorded his voice on Skype, and then they tried to mess around with with the New Zealand government to try and get them to change rules, and they brought in 3-strike law overnight. They rushed it in, and that turned out to be a waste of time because they didn't want to pay the money to have it administrated. They don't want to pay $25 per claim against someone's IP address. Someone's got to do the work. Someone needs to be paid. So Hollywood didn't want to pay, but they just wanted all the profits. And they didn't like that the strike could be removed from then after 12 months or whatever it is. If they go back to being a good person. And the reason why it's pirated in the first place is because the shows are not available at the same time as they are in USA. And people get to see all the spoilers and ruin their episode and season because other countries get to see it first. It makes sense that people want to get it as soon as it's on. But that's why .com server was used to try and spread it around. Now, he is still fighting it, and it's been like the longest case in history. And is he a good person? Don't really know, but he had a bit of a past, like most of these guys that are hackers, ex-hackers. He did some bad stuff, but apparently he got caught and faced court and got let off. But they still use it against him. He apparently hacked some US government stuff and did inside trading on shares. He bought a failed web business in Germany and said he was going to build it up, and everybody invested in it, and instead of him doing the work, he simply bowed out and cashed in and got $1 million out of it. Did he pay it back to the people? Now he's rich. He had $100 million or whatever it is he has. No, he didn't pay it back. But at the time, they didn't have a law for inside trade in Germany. So when he got caught and was brought in front of the court, he was let off. And then he used that $1 million to build up his other businesses, which has made his fortune, this cloud server. So, yeah, that's still ongoing, and they haven't sort of pardoned him from it, saying that he was planning to defraud Hollywood by allowing pirates to use his server. Essentially, he gave the tools for links from Google search engines to be removed, but no one used it, so they still wanted to jail him. He basically didn't delete the file off his cloud service, but instead removed the link, and of course they're getting him on that. But he was dismissed on that, and they decided to trial him on the chat they legally recorded. And is that fair, Were they spying on him? How do you know his phone call, he wasn't joking? Now, you could read all the stuff on Torrent Freak blog, yeah, so why is this the USA want to go after this guy? He wasn't the only guy doing it. There was RapidShare and other cloud servers that were doing a lot more than he was. You want to know why they're going after him? Because he said he donated to WikiLeaks, and guess what? They wanted to get WikiLeaks, and they wanted to get all the people associated with WikiLeaks. That's what it boils down to. It's all these psychopaths in the US government trying to get at him. That then leads us into WikiLeaks, where Julian has been locked up in an embassy because he'd been too scared to come out of it, because he was scared what USA government was going to do to him. As you know, he released a lot of information from US military, which they had covered up, illegal shooting of people, and he didn't black out some people's names in the release and put US lives in danger overseas. But they were spying. They were trying to influence the governments or people they were working for overseas. So Julian saw that was okay. And then this, out of the blue, he gets this rape case put on him from this girl, apparently, for rape, and what does the rape case turn out to be? That he refused to wear a condom while they were having sex after they met in the pub. It kind of sounds suspicious, doesn't it? US government are trying to get him, and suddenly this rape case comes out of the blue, where they want to extradite him back to the country where the rape happened, and once he's in prison in the other country, they can send him off to USA. Is it just me that sees that as suspicious? Alternative motives? Not playing fair? He was a journalist. He was leaking, being a whistleblower. All mainstream media paints him as an evil person. Is it so bad to expose human rights that's not happening in different countries and in war zones? Why should USA be exempt from it all? All these countries all have evil people in them. They all should be exposed. He may be hated because he exposed stuff on Hillary. Stuff that she's getting funds from Saudi Arabia and did this and did that. The mainstream media wasn't going to cover it because they couldn't probably verify the information, but alternative media got it out there, and it was up to the people to decide whether they believed it was true or not. All those email leaks, and whether there was cover-up going on. The election fraud was another one. And yet they did a recount in all those states, and guess who got the most votes in all the recounts. It was again the person that won the election, not Hillary. So maybe it shows that the election did have some problems with the voting system. But the way the US system is set up, it's designed so it can have these fraudulent votes, and still the person that got voted overall in the country still gets in power. That's how their system works. It was set up by the founding fathers. But what happens is people go out in the street and protest about it. You know, you vote for the person, it doesn't get in power, you just get on with life. You just don't go out there and set people's cars on fire and houses because you don't agree with it. And of course that leads us into Snowden. Now, what did he do wrong? He simply told the public that they're being spied on by their own government. He didn't think it was right that they were eavesdropping on more people inside USA than there were outside USA. I suppose that was covered in the movie. Have you seen the movie about him? It's probably worth having a watch of it. You can see why he chose what he chose. Yet he's called a traitor, you know, and for exposing the government for eavesdropping on you and me and everybody else in the world, and storing it all. They weren't just selectively listening in, they were just storing it all, and they could go back any time in history and listen to your Skype recordings. You know, is that fair? Is that true? He also said that the government has these departments that troll people on the internet. They defame people, they abuse them, they have fake accounts, they go and downvote everything and attack them and try and get their accounts closed. And yet these people might be too outspoken for the US government to handle the truth and simply don't like the whistleblowers, so they want to arrest them all and waterboard everybody. That's how it seems, and they use their power of free trade to get other governments to toe the line. So yeah, it's all out there. You just have to sit back and watch it all and not be inside the box. Don't get conned by what you hear and see on the TV. You got to actually look at everything. Step outside the box and start looking at the facts yourself, because you can't trust reporters and investigators on TV shows. They look at how many newspapers or tabloids repeat the crap that comes out of Secure Team 10. You know, and it goes all around the world and it clogs up the net and all these fake stories and fake UFO sightings. And it just annoys the hell out of people, the true people in the UFO community. But he's laughing. He's made his $1 million since he's made his channel. He's living life up, living his dream. But he don't care if he's stealing content of other channels and making it into fake news instead. It goes on and on and on. You know, NSA was buying hacking tools from Israel so they can hack other countries. And what happens is it gets out in the wild and they reverse engineer what the government used on them, and they create viruses like WannaCry that takes out lots of corporations and demands ransoms of millions of dollars to unencrypt their data that this Trojan did. You know, there's been a lot more serious stuff going on. You can install a script on a USB drive and you can just walk into someone's house, stick it in their turned on laptop, and it activates within a minute and installs a Trojan on their computer and allows you to remote connect to them anytime you want to and dump files on their computer. And then you can tell it to self-destruct. There's been cases of neighbours hacking into Wi-Fi. You know, a few years ago there was a lot of security holes in routers that people used in their homes, and some people didn't even change the default password. Some even had open Wi-Fi, and of course neighbours were using their IP to download and share files. So this brings us into Stan Romanek case. You know, he was accused of being a pedophile. Now, was he or not? Because that sort of label ruins some guy's life for life. You know, forever. You can't undo damage like that. You know, and he was been accused of being a UFO hoaxer and ET, but was he? You know, there's a lot of stuff on the web that I've posted links to on Twitter and my fan page, showing that that wasn't the case. A lot of people can back up his claims. They stayed with him and saw UFOs. They saw strange happenings going on. They even have a birthday party, and there was a little girl standing out in the rain or something, and had big eyes, and he took a photograph of it, and the photo self-destructed on the phone when he went to show more people it. But some people saw it before it actually got destroyed, and they actually saw the girl outside. Now, I've heard these stories. They're out there, but I probably had a bit of trouble finding that particular story. But it's out there, and now there's been cases in New Zealand here where school headmasters have lost their job because the security or IT administrator found porn on their computers, and later it turned out that some proper IT investigator found rootkits and trojans that can't be found with normal scanners, that was actually creating a peer-to-peer network and downloading these porn files and sharing it to everybody around the world. He lost his job, he lost his credibility, he lost his life. He lost money. He lost his health. And I'm sure Stan has suffered as well. You know, you can't keep attacking people because they may be innocent, you know, and even though he went to court and recently, and the jury had two cases to go over. One was possession on the computer, and the second one was whether he sold or distributed it. And it turns out the investigator had some sort of past, and the jury wasn't allowed to hear about it, other cases that were involved with this person that was investigating them. So have they only been told half the story? The problem is that Stan admitted when he got pulled out the house, when they searched his house and took his computers away, and in an interview after, he said that he had found porn on the computer and deleted it. It's in the statement. I'll see if I can find it and post up the graphic for this chat. You know, and has he been stitched up? It does sort of sound like it, doesn't it? You know, back in 2014, there was a lot of this sort of stuff happening. So, yeah, give the guy a fair chance. He's still going to a chance to repel the first decision about him having files on his computer. Because I read that they only found 8 files. You know, what pedo has 8 files of kids only? And what pedo shares files using his open IP address? The whole case doesn't make sense. Not for me. I'm an IT expert. You know, I can hack anyone's computer and plant evidence if I wanted to. It only takes 1 minute access to a computer and you got a Trojan on them. You got a remote access, you know, and they don't even know what's going on. So it's possible, because I know. You can know, you can learn it too. You can just do the research online yourself. There's a lot of information out there. How do you hack someone and use their computer as a botnet? And simply saying that you think he's guilty, that's just not good enough. He may be innocent. But even so, he got off with the worst offence, which was selling and distribution. And it makes you wonder why the first one wasn't gotten rid of as well, because you've got to have the files to be able to distribute them. So if you get the second case removed, then the first case should automatically be removed. It's like a subset. There has been a few online attacking him, you know, and saying that he admitted to faking stuff. Well, he didn't actually admit to faking stuff. What he did was he got caught being silly on a live stream, and in the interview later he admitted that he was trying to discredit himself, so the death threat and his family and that would go away. Someone was threatening him, and they're probably the same people that may have planted this pedo evidence on him. Plant the evidence and then call up the FBI and say you suspect this guy's a pedo and got files and he should be investigated. Sure, he could be set up. So I'll leave it there and maybe do something else later on in the story and see if it develops more. But stop attacking the guy. Stop trying to get some views for your channel and money from it just for a cheap story. It's just not on.